Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great history lesson and one that needs to be told over and over again. This is Marie C. Bolden. She is the first in the entire nation to win a national spelling bee. Can you imagine? Y'all, just think about this. These folks have been boasting about how smart they are, how brilliant they are, how they know everything. And then you got a black eighth grader that won the first national spelling bee. The white kids and their people do what they do best, racism. And you'll see when we get into the story, because they can't win, they're going to turn the racism on this young woman and her family. So let's get to it. Mm, mm, mm. When she won the first national spelling bee, Marie C. Bolden dealt a blow to racism. Yeah, because, you're supposed to be so brilliant and know everything. If you haven't heard about a black girl who the first to win the national spelling bee in the US 115 years ago, you're not alone. Even many in her family didn't know about Marie C. Bolden's feat until after she died decades later. It's astounding to me that she's never talked about winning a gold medal in front of thousands of people, Bolden's grandson, Mark Brown, told NPR. But back in 1908, Bolden's victory made national news and upended racist stereotypes less than 50 years after the Civil War. The 14-year-old did it by being perfect, spelling 500 words flawlessly to lead her town of Cleveland, Ohio to victory in the city's then Hippodrome Theater. And I'm going to show you that theater. Okay, so this is the Hippodrome Theater in Cleveland, Ohio, where she won the first national spelling bee. Wow. She never talked about this award, this amazing accomplishment, Brown said. But even Booker T. Washington mentioned it in his speeches. Bolden's win was dramatic and unprecedented. Cleveland's team was trailing in the field that included teams from New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Erie, Pennsylvania, near the end of the contest, according to contemporary accounts. But then Bolden vaulted her team to top prize. Mm-mm-mm. She never showed off the gold medal she won. In fact, her family wasn't sure what became of it. But in interviews after she won, Bolden told reporters that she had studied hard for the competition, saying she wanted to help her city win and that her mother and father wanted her to win. When I felt nervous at the Hippodrome, it steadied me to think of these things. She was quoted telling the Plain Dealer, that was the name of the paper back then, I just kind of gritted my teeth and made up my mind that I wouldn't miss a word. It was only after Bolden died that her family realized her first place in the spelling bee history. Going through a box of her belongings, Brown said they found a newspaper clipping from the Plain Dealer relating the story of the black mail carrier's daughter who outspelled hundreds of white kids. After her stunning victory, Bolden was hailed by a storm of applause and congratulations from hundreds of people, including members of the team from New Orleans, according to Indiana South Bend Tribune. Cleveland hosted the spelling contest in June of 1908. using it as a marquee event to kick off the National Education Association Conference. The contest is recognized as the first nationwide spelling bee by the Guinness World Records, and it also notes Bolden's role in, the spelling bee. So, ladies and gentlemen, Bolden's accomplishments drew renowned attention in 2021 when Azalea Avant Garde became the first African American to win the National Spelling Bee contest. And this is for Scripps. Bolden's story then drew interest of Babel, the spelling learning software, which contacted Brown after researching his grandmother's win. Her parents and friends helped her remember the words and read a newspaper daily to perfect her spelling. This is according to Malcolm Massey, a language expert. So she didn't have help from other people and other groups. She got help from her family and the close friends of the family. So, anyway, the 1908 spelling bee also became a magnet for racism. Marie Bolden knew prejudice well. In fact, it was one of the words the contestants had to spell. Her spelling rivals included a team from New Orleans, a squad that nearly didn't compete at all, as its segregationist leaders balked at the inclusion of a Black student. Wow. You balked at the fact that she was included and then you couldn't beat her. That's just amazing. So, anyway, New Orleans officials knew there was a chance that an integrated team might compete at the spelling bee. As NOLA.com has reported, when one school board member considered how the team might respond to such circumstances, he replied, go ahead and knock the N word out. Wow. Okay, so you got all races and then you got your butt handed to you by this girl. Unbelievable. Such sentiments, Brown said, it's like, holy crap. These are kids. What are you doing? He added. It's hard to fathom now that people would be treated like that. No, it's not, because people are treated like that to this very day. Okay, let one of our kids win a contest or anything. Them folks are competing and their kids are in, and watch their reaction. The reaction is still the same. They don't like it. So anyway, let's get back to it. Weeks later, Black residents of New Orleans were sent to host a spelling bee in Bolden's honor, but the mayor ordered it canceled. Mm, mm, mm. After Bolden's win, furious members of the school board of New Orleans voted to censure the superintendent, Warren Easton. As a Black newspaper, the Seattle Republican, reported, the board passed a resolution stating, in part, we deeply deplore and regret the unfortunate occurrence at Cleveland and the pitting of our children against a Negro. Yeah, see, when she won, they turned all racist on her because they couldn't beat her. We know why. They couldn't beat her. So what else do you got in your toolbox? I got racism in there, and that's what I'm going to use. So anyway, wow. The treatment of Black people in the US eventually prompted Bolden and her family to move to Canada, Brown said. That process started with his grandfather telling his father to fight for Canada in World War II rather than the US because they didn't treat colored soldiers very well, Brown said. Brown, 68, currently lives just outside of Hamilton, Ontario. As for how his family now views Bolden, who died in 1981, Brown said his adult daughters, Jackie and Stacy, are amazed at the strength of their great grandmother. I think there's a great sense of pride in the fact that our family history is based on sacrifice and people being adventurous and taking on new life and not letting things hold them back. Yeah, well, this is a wonderful story. Minus all of the racism that they had to endure, but it's a great story. And it's a story that we should definitely be telling, that the first spelling bee in America was won by an eighth grader from the community, So congratulations to Marie C. Bolden's story getting out there. I'm glad her family is telling this story, and we certainly should be telling the story as well, and see, this is the history that Ron the Satan down there in Florida don't want you to know. And trust me, they don't want you to know this in other states too. They want you to think that all we are just low IQ, don't know nothing. But, the amazing thing is no matter how much they say those things, we can still find all kinds of multitude of amazing things that our folks have done all throughout history. And that is a fact. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.